Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on Sam's Crafted Castle. Now you may be thinking to yourself, isn't there supposed to be a live stream this week? And theoretically, yes. But somehow I actually managed to triple book myself for today. So I have fixed that problem by canceling a few things, including a lot of that was supposed to be this week. April, I was hoping to just like reschedule it, but April is just going to be too busy to make that happen. So I was able to put together this very quick video in place of this week's live. So I'm sorry about that because I did have something fun planned for today, but it just wasn't going to happen. So this video is very, very quick. It is very, very clean and simple card. We're going to do this week and next week. We have some very clean and simple cards because they're fun, and I honestly, that's what I felt like doing. So I was actually working on the card that you're going to see next week when I got the idea to do this one. I'm using the Gina Designs Mayflower set. It is retired, has been retired for a little while now, but I pulled out this set to do the flower for that you're going to see next week, and I saw this big flower, and this is one of my favorite techniques to do this kind of like emboss resist quick coloring when I need a card really fast, and I just always think it looks so elegant and pretty. So, and I've definitely done this on this channel before, but I wanted to do it again because it's been a while. So I don't know, I do tend to do this kind of a lot, but I wanted to, this flower was just screaming at me that it wanted me to do this, so I did. So I had started with a regular 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 A2 sized panel, and after you just saw me kind of like trying to lay it out, and I tried a couple different orientations for my big flower, and ended up deciding that actually what I wanted to do is have the card panel a little bit smaller. So I just trimmed a quarter inch off each, well, not off each side, off 2 of the sides, and I made it a little bit smaller, which made the flower take up a little bit more of the card panel, and was going to let me use this little tiny happy birthday stamp that I wanted to use, because I actually wanted to use the happy birthday on the other card I did, but it ended up being, it just wasn't quite right. So I used this as an excuse to do that as well. Sometimes you just come up with excuses to use the stamps that are speaking to you, and that's what this card very much was. And with kind of needing a last minute video to fill in the week this week, I was like, you know what, this will work. So now I'm just stamping it with some, I'm using the Gina Designs embossing and watermark ink, but you can use whatever watermark ink or embossing ink or clear sticky ink that you want to use. I feel like almost everyone has them, so but I'm using the Gina one, and and this is where I messed up. This is how quick this card is, guys. I filmed this entire video in about 40 minutes, including mistakes and including not like solidly like working on it through the whole thing. And this, I feel like it's always good to have some really quick card ideas in your arsenal, if you will, because sometimes you become like me the last few months, and you just get super busy, and keeping track of things is hard, and the next thing you know, you need a whole bunch of cards, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. This is something you can do that's really quick and easy. I was thinking this would be a really pretty engagement card, anniversary card, wedding card, birthday card. Like, there's definitely a lot you can do. So I am going, did I already mess up? I think I did. So I already made my mistake well, I was going to say for this card, but there's another one later on. And I tried to double stamp it, because usually that's what I'll do. I generally will double stamp most things, and especially if I'm doing embossing, because in my experience, if I double stamp things, they stick a little bit better. So I usually do that, but I wasn't paying attention, and I shifted my mat a little bit, and therefore it actually like double stamped. So if you ever have your stamp and it looks like fuzzy, that's probably what happened. You probably double stamped it. So I ended up just flipping over the cardstock and doing it on the other side, and then I didn't double stamp it because I took a better look at it before I decided what I was going to do, and it looked okay, so I was like, all right, we're just going to try it. I always tend to find with embossing, that's when I find the spots of my stamps that are like skipping and things like that, because once I put the embossing powder on it, I'll be like, oh, that didn't stamp well there. And I was nervous because this was the first time I was using the stamp set too. So if you guys know, sometimes stamps don't always stamp well the first time, but I think having made that mistake and therefore stamped it a few times, um, it helped a little bit with doing it the second time. I've also realized that I am almost out of white embossing powder, so I'm gonna have to look into that. So you can kind of see, the thing with doing white embossing on camera is it's very hard to see, but you can see when I tilt it a little bit, you can see all the embossing in there. You won't be able to see anything once I actually start heat embossing it, but you'll be able to see it in a little bit. It is a very, very delicate card. This would also be kind of a pretty, like, baby card, too. It is a very, very delicate card. And my other tip, always, if you spill embossing powder, always make sure you clean it up. I have not done it on this mat, and I don't even know if I'd be able to because it's a glass mat, but when I had one of the more, like, the self-healing, sort of, like, plasticky mats, um, I had I had heat embossed into my mat, if that makes sense. I had some embossing powder that I didn't clean up, and then I heated my actual embossing, and I ended up melting the embossing powder into my mat, and then it was just stuck there forever. So make sure if you spill it, make sure you clean it up. I learned that lesson. Don't make my mistakes. So I'm just heat embossing this really quick, and then I'm just going to ink blend over it. So I was debating what color I wanted to do, and I tend to always gravitate towards pink. It's my favorite color, so sometimes when I'm not making something specific for someone, that tends to be the direction I gravitate towards. And in this case, that's exactly what I went for. I also went for the innocent pink because I wanted to do it very, very, like, have a very, very soft color. I thought about doing something brighter, but I was like, no, I want something very soft and quiet and chill, basically, was what I was going for. And you saw me rub my finger over that really quick. There was a spot that looked like it didn't emboss me, but it did. It just looked a little funky. If you do that, if you rub your finger over it, you will, it is a little dangerous because you will pick up the embossing powder, and usually by the time, at least if you're me, by the time you notice it, you're going to smear it and you're not going to be able to redo it because your embossing ink is going to be dry already. But still, it's better to catch it and to sort of brush it off and make that part of the image go away, if you will, than it is to run your brushes over it. I think, personally. I don't know. I think it's more I don't think anything bad's going to happen. I just think it feels funny when I'm ink blending. That's all. So I am just going to ink blend over these flowers. And I was trying to go for a little bit of a ombre, fade out with my ink blending too. I don't know that I 100% succeeded in that, but I think I'm happy with it. We'll say that. So yeah, this is pretty much the card, guys. That's the technique right there. And you can use any color embossing powder for this. I actually have some bright pink embossing powder that I was actually sort of thinking would have been kind of fun, and I wonder if it would have given me a really cool effect. So I'm gonna have to maybe try that someday, using more of the colors. I tend to just use the white a lot because I think it gives it a really soft, elegant look, which a lot of times is whatever stamp I'm using is what's sort of speaking at me. But you can play with colors, basically, is what I'm trying to get at, and do some fun stuff. So now I'm just going to put this back in my MISTI. And, I didn't talk about the paper towel thing I just did. The last step to, this ink blend emboss resist technique is to make sure that you take a dry paper towel, or just a dry cloth, really, and brush it over, just run it over everywhere you ink blended, because some of the ink will, sit on top of the embossing. I was going to say stick, but that's not the right word. it's gonna sit on top of the embossing powder, and if you take a towel or paper towel or just like a regular dry towel and wipe over it, it just picks up all that like extra ink that's just like chilling there, and makes the embossing just like pop a little bit more. I should have done this on a color just because I was filming it, because the white always has such a hard time like showing up on camera. But that's it. That's basically the card. Like I said, it took me, the actual like raw footage of this clip is 40 minutes, and I've sped it up. Normally I speed up a video 4 times, like, so that goes 4 times as fast as what happened in real life. This one I only sped up 2 times, so it is very, and that, it takes the video down to a little over 15 minutes. And I did edit out some like areas where I was like looking for things or whatever, the stuff that y'all didn't really care about. So like, but yeah, it's a very quick, if you need something fast. Like, I was thinking after this, I was like, I should have made this a wedding or an anniversary card, because I actually like don't have any of those in my stash, but I went with birthday card because honestly I always need those. So yeah, and that's the card. Oh, I forgot I decided to do this part. So I was debating. I really liked it on its own, like the way it was, but I just couldn't resist the idea of putting a couple little rhinestones on there. So I grabbed out my jar of frozen rhinestones from Gina Designs, and I used the foam tape to stick the card panel down, just to like, in my brain originally I was gonna do a pink card base for this to like pull in the pink from the ink blending, but I didn't have one, and I was feeling lazy and I didn't want to make one. So, and I had white ones done, and I also think when you just pop up on the white like that, it just adds a little something, and I think it's very pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to use my Gina K Designs matte glue to glue these rhinestones down. And the funny story about this is I had literally just used it, so I thought the bottle would be fine without me like doing anything to it. And it was a lie. You just saw right there. I thought I had it all like sort of primed and ready to go, because sometimes they do get a little fussy, and I did not. So I ended up with a big old giant like glue blob that I had to wipe off, and I was very glad that I chose to use my matte glue instead of the regular Connect glue, because I almost used the regular one, because I don't know, I just almost did. so now I just put a bunch of little glue dots down, and now I'm going to grab these little rhinestones and stick them in there. I didn't really pay attention to the sizes. I wish I would have gone for the smaller ones like all the way through. I think I would have maybe liked that a little bit better than what ends up happening at the end. But I was trying to sort of make the rhinestones like waterfall through the flowers, and it didn't quite work out that way. I think I went a little bit on instinct on where I put the glue dots instead of sort of like really planning them out, but it's still pretty in the end, and I still really like it, and I do think it adds a little bit. I just wish I would have picked the smaller size rhinestones out, but that's okay. So that's our card, guys. That's everything. And I don't know what's going to happen. My other sort of live update, I don't know what's going to happen with Relax and Create Live in May. I am waiting on getting a new dance schedule, which hopefully, but honestly, hopefully by the time you guys see this, I'll have had that and I'll know what's happening. But I am going to be getting a new dance schedule in the next few weeks, so I don't know if Mondays are going to keep working or not. So I will keep you guys updated on what's going to happen for May. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see you again soon, and have a crafty day.